We begin tonight with the worst single blow to U.S. forces since the war in Afghanistan began nearly 10 years ago. A helicopter crash has killed 30 Americans, and early indications are the Taliban is to blame. Elizabeth Palmer in London has the latest.
The Chinook helicopter came down in Wardak province, just southwest of Kabul. Of the 30 Americans aboard, 22 were members of the Special Operations Navy SEAL Team 6, the same unit that killed Osama bin Laden. The other 8 were Army and Air Force personnel. A civilian translator, 7 Afghan commandos, and a specially trained dog also died. The crash site has now been cordoned off, but the Taliban claim they shot down the Chinook early this morning, just as it was taking off after a raid on their fighters. U.S. military sources say it was called in as backup by another unit which had run into trouble. Local witnesses report the Chinook was hit with a rocket-propelled grenade, a popular weapon among the Taliban because it's light and cheap, although it's usually inaccurate. From Camp David, President Barack Obama said, "Their deaths are a reminder of the extraordinary sacrifice made by the men and women of our military and their families." In the rugged hinterland of Afghanistan, where roads are non-existent or mined, helicopter raids are a key part of U.S. strategy. Multiple times a night, they swoop in on groups of Taliban fighters in the dark and kill them, especially in this sensitive area just 50 miles from the capital, where the Taliban have a stronghold. But the raids are controversial. They've killed Afghan families and innocent civilians by mistake, and they are dangerous for U.S. forces. In April 2005, a U.S. Chinook came down in a sandstorm not far from today's crash site, killing 18 Americans. And in June of the same year, 16 Special Operations troops died when their helicopter was shot down near the Pakistani border. Today's deaths bring the total number of Americans killed this year in Afghanistan to 297. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
The war in Afghanistan is taking an increased toll among Afghan civilians as well. The most recent UN report says more than 1,400 civilians were killed in conflict-related incidents during the first 6 months of this year. That's up 15% over the same period last year. The report blames insurgents for 80% of the deaths.